En caso de emergencia, la universidad cuenta con instalaciones seguras y equipos de detección. Además, contamos con brigadas de protección civil capacitadas para atender las emergencias. Las salidas de emergencia están debidamente señalizadas: gimnasio auditorio, cafetería comedor y lobby del IDIT. En una emergencia en la que se requiera una evacuación, conserva la calma y sigue las instrucciones de los brigadistas. Sigue la ruta de evacuación, te llevará a una zona más segura. Dirígete al punto de reunión, sin empujar, sin correr ni gritar. Atiende las indicaciones de las brigadas de protección civil, ellos te apoyarán en todo momento. Ahora que ya sabes lo que se debe hacer, mantente tranquilo, toma decisiones responsables, muestra calma, respeto y solidaridad. Ibero Puebla, comprometida con tu seguridad.
Buenos dias. You guys can do a little better for that. I know I'm the opening act. Buenos dias. Awesome. So welcome to day 5, or day 5? Yeah, day 5, the last final day of FAB24. Thank you all for being here. It's been a great time. I want to thank our host for having us in Puebla. I want to thank our sponsors, and I also want to thank volunteers. Can we give a round of applause for the volunteers? Thank you. And can we also thank the wonderful staff for helping us out each day with water and snacks and all that good stuff. Can we get a round for them? Wonderful. So we're going to get started with the Fab Blast lineup. So I believe our first person up is Peter. Oh, is this is it? Okay, the Global Working Group, Fab Labs, and Sustainable Development Goals.
Good morning. This is the fourth contribution about Sustainable Development Goals. It is about accountability, rendición de cuentas in español. If you really want to make a difference, choose one of the SDG sub-goals or targets. They are a concrete description of the intended impact. Deduce from this sub-goal what is needed to achieve it. And please indicate specifically what commitment you would like to make, a measurable commitment for which we can hold you or be held accountable. That's my message. So here are the 4 stages that we have been dealing with this week. Awareness, about all the goals. Alignment, only focus on your profile. Actions, on all the goals or whatever. There's a lot of activity going on. And then now accountability. And I list here an example, just one example of one of the 169 targets, 4.4. By 2030, substantially increase the number of youth and adults who have relevant skills, including technical and vocational skills for employment, decent jobs, and entrepreneurships. There's an enormous only one target, but it is an enormous task to realize that. And what is needed in the case of accountability? Well, this is an interesting scheme. We normally talk about inputs, we talk about activities, outputs, and the outcomes. And then there is something vague, and that is impact. And what we try to accomplish, what we are experimenting with it, we are trying to look for how we can support in that process. We say you should start with the impact, because that is your target, and that is what ultimately counts. You can read that at another moment. It costs too much time in my 5 minutes to deal with it completely. This is a picture of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, and it is unfolded with our SDG Explorer tool, you may know. It is unfolded, and we have highlighted all the sub-goals with the word technology in it. So you see that it's quite a lot, and it is not concentrated on one of the goals. And I'm sure that a lot of the other sub-goals also are interesting for contributions from the Fab Lab network. So we think we should work on impact by design. That means you formulate the desired impact first, and that could be one of the Sustainable Development Goals targets. And then you reason back, so to say, to identify the required outcomes that are needed to realize that impact. Then you go back to identify the necessary outputs that should lead to these outcomes, and then the activities and the inputs, and so on, so that it is that you are sure that whatever you are going to do will contribute to the required impact.
One minute,
that you can
please.
measure
1
it,
minute.
that you can give a commitment for it, that you can be held accountable for it.
Peter, you have 1 minute.
We made a nice game to practice that. It is the SDG Impact game. It is an open game and frame game that you can load with whatever content you want. This week we have loaded it with the content for Mexico, of course. There are 3 teams at least, and they all play the role of policy think tank and produce a policy paper. Then the papers shift to the other teams, and then they all play the role of SDG investment fund and prepare an investment fund prospectus. Then they shift the materials to the next group, and then they all play the role of innovative company of Fab Lab preparing an enterprise business plan, and all kind of cross-checks, etc. are included as well.
I'm sorry, Peter.
This is our
time.
total portfolio now for the coming year. As not all Fab Labs are in the same stage, we continue to provide services to all these stages. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Peter. So Peter will be my neighbor soon when I move to Amsterdam. It's one of my favorite places to be. Thank you, Peter. That was fantastic. Can you please give a round of applause for Peter? So next up, we will have Making Makers, El Salvador experience with Carlos Valadares. Please forgive me if I mess your name up. You can. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. For me, it's a pleasure to share this experience. Making Makers is a resume of 12 years of work. And to start, I put some pictures in a retrospective of our work. And this is some photos of Fab 7 in 2011 that we start in the network. And in this event, we have a few facts. 60 Fab Labs in 35 countries. Now, we are almost 3,000 Fab Labs in 150 countries. And another important fact is in this event, we have only one Fab Lab Uni, the first Fab Lab in Latin America. This is our work in the first stage. It's like a startup, Fab Lab El Salvador, because when we start, we don't have nothing. And the idea is trying to create the culture of Fab Lab network in El Salvador, but also in Central America. And one of the important things is you see in the first stage is we create a landscape of a startup, an ecosystem to make the basis to a maker movement in El Salvador. And I think we do, it's a hard work, but we do the best for create engagement of the youth people and also some independent professional like Emilio Vélez, for example, Tony Carbonero, and other guys that working for represent El Salvador in some conference that we participate. We participate in the Latin American Conference, Lima, Santiago, and now Puebla. We have 5 Academy participants in Fab Academy and also Fabulin. And we have 7 Fab Labs in 21,000 square kilometers. It's the small country in all of the Latin America. And when we see the study of Peter, El Salvador have a positive index because we have a lot of Fab Lab for a small country. And the idea is, or the goal is create 21 Fab Labs to El Salvador, 1 per 100 square kilometers. My MTP, my Massive Transformative Purpose, is making makers. And what is the importance of this statement? Because in 2017, when I studied the Fab Academy, it's a hard work because I work in my companies. I have 3 companies, Fab Lab El Salvador, the Fab Academy, and my nervous system, it's almost collapsed. And I think I have only 10 fingers, only, and 1 brain. How is the sustainable solution is create a community, and a strong community. In India, they demonstrate that if you have a wizard with 50 persons in your community for 5 years, you have a strong community to 10 years and to increase your economy, development solution to impact in the social field and in environmental field. And for the end, I have a question. I don't have an answer, but in all of the working groups and workshop in this week, I put this, in my workshop, I put this, I don't know, overview of the world, the global north and the south global.
1
and
minute,
I think
please,
it's
1 minute.
an important thing to think and start to trying to do some solution in the network. This is our START program, digital skill. It's like a Fab Academy, but for youth people that don't have university knowledge. And this is an inclusive program that we are in a pilot stage trying to do Ninja Makers. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Carlos. That was wonderful. So how's everybody doing? You feeling good? Did you sleep well? That's important. Hello, Neil. How are you? The African and European Make Project, what has happened since Bali? Andrew Lamb. I unfortunately wasn't in Bali, so Andrew can definitely tell us what happened.
Thanks, Rodney. Good morning. Caco's presentation, Carlos's presentation about El Salvador, you presented really well. Thank you for sharing that story with us. But what you have done in El Salvador is phenomenal. And when I was able to visit there, because I'm working with Apropedia, and Emilio Velis, who is here with us at the conference, he runs Apropedia. He's based in El Salvador. He introduced me to Caco, and I was able to visit some of the Fab Labs. What you have done, being able to take the young El Salvadorians who are at risk of going into the gangs and use makerspaces to help them change their futures is phenomenal. So, you know, it's given me goosebumps. Well done. The MAKE project, African-European makerspaces. We're coming to the end of our project. We presented it. We had a few sessions in Bali at the Fab Lab conference. I just want to tell you a very quick update. This isn't about makerspaces, this is about makerspace ecosystems, the support systems that exist around makerspaces and Fab Labs. So we have done, and it's put together by a consortium, as most European funded projects are, of networks. There isn't a makerspace in this project.
it's makerspace networks, like the African Makerspace Network. We've been involved in the VULCA community, the Global Innovation Gatherings there. I know there's quite a few people here, and the Fab City Foundation. And the idea is that we see makerspaces as digital innovation hubs, what Europe thinks of as digital innovation hubs, and we convince them that Fab Labs and makerspaces are digital innovation hubs, even though we don't always make mobile phone apps. You know, that this is part of digital innovation, digital fabrication is part of digital innovation. And we're trying to basically build a sustainable community of makerspaces between Africa and Europe, sustainable for the makerspaces themselves so that they can be financially sustainable, but sustainable so that there's collaborations between them. We've done policy work, we've done the business models work that I presented yesterday, we've done some of the Internet of Production stuff, which I presented the day before, and we've done work on capacity and skill building, so we've been helping to train, develop curriculum and train makerspace managers. One of our projects, this has been a really nice thing and it's happened in the last few months, so I want to update you about it, is called Makers in Residency, and we've had an exchange program between makers in Africa and makers in Europe. And I'd really like to thank the makerspaces who've hosted the Makers in Residency on this program. And to VULCA as well, who've been critical in making this happen. We've had people from Egypt, from Tanzania, from Rwanda. We've had people from Cameroon and from Nigeria take part in this program. And it's incredible what these things can do, even in just a space of 4 weeks, the impact it can have on people's lives in terms of the direction of where they're going. And for the European makers in residency, you know, an experience of working with makers in Africa can be life-changing as well. I remember my first trip to Zimbabwe, and it's always stayed with me when I was a student. I presented the business models work yesterday. That's a key output for us. There's a QR code there. What we've done is consult with Fab Labs and makerspaces across Africa and Europe and come up with a policy recommendation.
1 minute, please, 1 minute.
Thanks, Rodney. You know, an agenda, a common policy agenda for makerspaces, and we're using this to lobby ministers and governments and the organizations like the European Union and African Union. We're looking for information right now at the request of ministers. If you have any information on this, let me know. The connection between makerspaces and industrial development. They're looking for research. Then we've done Internet of Production stuff, which I presented the other day, so I don't need to go spend too long on that. The AfroLabs gathering in Cape Town, which is a gathering of innovation labs, is for the first time having a track on makerspaces this year. It's in Cape Town in November, and it will be followed by the African Makerspace Gathering and the next issue of the African Maker magazine. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you. That was fantastic. I hope I can get an invite. I can speak for you. Next, we're going to have up my soon-to-be neighbor again, Peter. Playing with safety.
Okay. You may hold the cards, because I have only 2 hands.
Absolutely.
Okay, this is a different topic. It's playing with safety, and in fact you should not play with safety, but we have made a game to play with safety, and the game is about a Fab Lab and its safety position. The safety and health of your visitors, volunteers and employees is not a game. But our game helps you take this seriously with your staff. Play the game every year. It will provide you with a current risk inventory and evaluation and an action plan for the identified problems. You can download this board game for free and print out the materials. Look what, these are the materials. And there is a manual for the facilitator. What I hear, if I talk with Fab Labs about safety, they say we never have experienced a serious incident. Risk assessment and drawing up a plan is far too much work. It is also boring and bureaucratic. It is work with a negative slant. You are looking what you do wrong, while we are proud what we do well. And safety, it is mainly a matter of mentality. All kind of arguments not to pay too much attention to safety. But I can say congratulations if you have never experienced an incident. But do you want to take the risk that a visitor will suffer serious injuries? I don't think so. And we have now made a game where we divide the work. So it is not such a lot of work. It costs only half a day, and you play it with your local team. You can also see it as a form of team building. Finally, we come together for a half a day to talk about a topic of common interest. You will encounter many things that are already in place. That is positive, gives positive energy. Mentality is important, but you work on it via a common meeting, for instance. So our game has 3 roles. We have 3 managers, and each manager is played by a group of participants, a manager human affairs, a manager operations, and a manager infrastructure. And they come together now and then as management team. Well, first you get a briefing about safety aspects in the Fab Lab. Here also, it looks safe, but forget it. And then comes the first cycle. It is called setting the stage. Each of these managers, each of these teams, is preparing a map of their situation. For instance, a map visualizing all the types of people that are in the Fab Lab during a week. A map that gives a schedule for an average week. What is going on here and what happens all the time. And a map, a plan for the building, the rooms, etc., the location of the machines, the materials, and whatever. Once that is, and that will be discussed in the management team, of course, so that you have a common view, you have 3 views for your common system, the Fab Lab. Then you are going to identify risks, and we give you cards, and they have been divided over the 3 teams. Each team has its own set of different risks to evaluate. What are the risks which are relevant? You are looking for things that should be improved and not for things that all have been done already. So it is looking for the problems. Then the next round is assessing these risks. Now we know what the risks are, but how often can it happen, and what are the consequences if it happens? So that you have more an idea about where priorities should lie. And then comes the last cycle, that is planning and implementing. You are making you are giving priorities to your list of issues.
1 minute, please.
Are very clear on what will be done, by who, and when. And you can come back to that in your management team, in your real management team now and then. Then follows the debriefing, how they feel, what they learn, and what they take home. You can download the facilitator manual, you can download the safety cards, and you can play it yourself. Thank you.
Thank you. This is fantastic, Peter. That was great. Yeah, yes, Peter, you were ahead of the time. You're fantastic. Wonderful. Please talk to Peter after that if you want to learn more about the game. Please, if I get this incorrect, correct me afterwards. Abihit? Oh, this is a thank you, Norella. This is a video. Let me get in my area. This is a video, so please watch. Thank you. Unlocking education with AI, bridging gaps through accessibility.
Hey, hello, Fab24. This is Abhijit, and I'm glad to be with you, at least virtually. Breaks my heart to be not there in my physical form, but I'm glad that I could send this across. This Fab24 is very close to my heart, especially because of its theme, that is fabricating equity. Let me introduce myself. I'm a failed academic turned entrepreneur, and I'm a huge Batman fan. The picture that you see here was actually taken in one of the Fab events. This was back in Shenzhen. I wish I could take a memory down from here, but nevertheless, I have spent quite a bit of my professional journey in building equitable, accessible solutions and using technology for impact. For the same, my recent work in education, I have been awarded a World Economic Forum title as the top innovator. The pandemic taught us one thing, that the digital learning ecosystem is broken. It's not meant for people who are there in the grassroots with limited internet connectivity or access to smartphones, even today. And we see this even in communities across South America, India, APAC, and a lot in Africa, where there are so many students who are not in, or so many young people in general, that are not touched by the education system and they lack access to quality learning. And this was a problem statement that we faced ourselves. Only 5% of our students were able to join online classes. And that got us into action. We started leveraging WhatsApp, and that took the attendance rates to about 50%. But that didn't stop me. I thought, what could we do more? And we leveraged audio conferencing. This took our attendance rates from a mere 5% to 80%. And that was the magic that happened with Ekatra. Ekatra today is a micro-learning solution that helps organizations deploy programs over WhatsApp or any text-based messaging channels in a simple and a cost-effective manner. Let me show you quickly a small video that talks about our work.
We apologize for the technical difficulties. Thank you. Yes, sorry about that. The video was not properly working. So we're going to go on to the next Fab Blast. I hope I'm saying this correctly. Claudia, or is it Claudia? It depends on where region you're from, yeah. Awesome. This is Mobile Fab Lab, the first digital laboratory on wheels in Brazil, registered on the global network. Thank you. Can you stand between the tables?
Bom dia, buenos dias, good morning. I'm very happy to be here to present a little bit of our experience with the Mauá Mobile Fab Lab. So I'm from São Paulo, Brazil, and the Mauá Mobile Fab Lab is located in the same location and belongs to Mauá Institute of Technology. That is a private, not-for-profit institution of higher education with 2,500 students of business, design, architecture, engineering, computing, and technology. So the Mauá Mobile Fab Lab was developed from the transformation of a vehicle, like a van, into a mobile digital fabrication laboratory, and until now is the first digital laboratory on wheels in Brazil, officially registered on the global network. So with this, we offer accessibility, mobility, inclusion, interdisciplinarity, maker culture, multi-purpose activities, technology, and hands-on practice. So we have a lot of different activities, different users, and different connections. This is it, is our baby, our little baby. So it's very colorful, very happy to spread this kind of joy of living. So we have at the back a ramp to accessibility. We have all the equipments, we have tables and benches. We take all the structure. We don't need almost nothing to offer the activities. We can take a lot of equipments like 3D printer, more than the one that we have inside. Here is the view of it inside. We have countertops, cabinets, tool carts. It's like a home, but it's a maker home. So it's very beautiful inside too. So here are the basic equipments. We have the laser cut, 3D printer, router, and a multifunctional machine. Here are the other accessories that we have. So it's very complete. And even the graphic design is fully created to offer a very great experience, showing our values, showing the DNA of our institution. And the only technical requirements that we need is a parking area in a flat and secure place, 9 to 6 meters, one electric power point, and a bathroom. Only this. So even in 2023, we was awarded with 2 prizes of Brazilian Design Award, with a social impact design with a bronze medal, and a future design category with a silver medal. So we have here 2 videos to demonstrate the different levels of users that we have, because in Brazil, we have a very wide country and a very wide different of people. So here at the left, we have a event with public school students in São Paulo. And then in the right, we have a competition with engineering students of our institution.
1 minute, please.
Okay.
Vamos vir pro Zé Roberto. Fala, Zé.
Deixa eu ver. Aí, deixa eu ver assim, ó. Ela leva desse jeito?
Okay, so thank you very much. And a last announcement. Yesterday, I participated in a very good workshop with Garrett, that is there, from Hamburg. And during the workshop, we start a working group based on mobile Fab Labs. And then anybody that has any interest, please tell us. Thank you very much. Muchas gracias.
Fantastic. Thank you, Claudia. I'm looking forward to a visit.
Yes. Thank you very much.
I want to go everywhere, yes. That's my main goal, is to visit everybody. All right, we're going to have Roberto Gallo. Gallo? Roberto, come on up.
Hello. It's nice to be here. Thank you. I will be presenting SOI, and also a project that we are super interested about it. Is a mental health project. So I will be really quick. Yeah, I did a 3D sketchbook, super cool before. Also the Bits and Atoms pen, some amazing projects. And now SOI is a development company located in Ecuador. We join academia, industry, and organizations, like social organizations. We did the pavilion, the LAT pavilion in Chile. And also here we did the structure that is over there in the show. We also join a lot of makers, like 600 makers in Ecuador, and we faced the COVID. It was super interesting, and I was negotiating with the military in Ecuador in order to give mobility to all this network and it was a huge impact for the people. No, we also push and change a law in Ecuador, in the government. And the lab now is really focused on production. We did a lot of projects. We did also workshops and Fab Academy and all the academies. And the chocolate, the box of the most expensive chocolate in the world, that is Toac, is a chocolate, Ecuadorian chocolate. We did that box, the wood one. And also, I'm here to talk about Tranqui. It's an app that you can download in Apple Store and also Play Store. It's already working. It's an artificial intelligence powered, and is working really well. So what we are understanding is how people is involved in mental health. We are powering this project, and we are focused on Latin America first. We are doing, this is a startup, and we are doing the first steps in Ecuador to do a prototype. This prototype will be scaling, and then we will be doing in all Latin American and then in the world. You have here all the tools that you need, and also a psychologist that will be bring you the most efficient tools to improve your mental health. So that's everything. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your patience. We're going to show the video of Abhijit again, so please bear with us. And then after that, we need you to prepare for Fabercise. You have to stretch a little bit. There we go.
Hey, hello, Fab24. This is Abhijit, and I'm glad to be with you, at least virtually. Breaks my heart to be not there in my physical form, but I'm glad that I could send this across. This Fab24 is very close to my heart, especially because of its theme, that is fabricating equity. Let me introduce myself. I'm a failed academic turned entrepreneur, and I'm a huge Batman fan. The picture that you see here was actually taken in one of the Fab events. This was back in Shenzhen. I wish I could take a memory down from here, but nevertheless. I have spent quite a bit of my professional journey in building equitable, accessible solutions and using technology for impact. For the same, my recent work in education, I have been awarded a World Economic Forum title as the top innovator. The pandemic taught us one thing, that the digital learning ecosystem is broken. It's not meant for people who are there in the grassroots with limited internet connectivity or access to smartphones, even today. And we see this even in communities across South America, India, APAC, and a lot in Africa, where there are so many students who are not in, or so many young people in general, that are not touched by the education system, and they lack access to quality learning. And this was a problem statement that we faced ourselves. Only 5% of our students were able to join online classes. And that got us into action. We started leveraging WhatsApp, and that took the attendance rates to about 50%. But that didn't stop me. I thought, what could we do more? And we leveraged audio conferencing. This took our attendance rates from a mere 5% to 80%. And that was the magic that happened with Ekatra. Ekatra today is a micro-learning solution that helps organizations deploy programs over WhatsApp or any text-based messaging channels in a simple and a cost-effective manner. Let me show you quickly a small video that talks about our work. Well, that's the world that I want to build. What motivates me is this one young person's story who was part of our learning program, Gaurav. Gaurav comes from this very small village near my hometown, Nagpur, and he's part of our entrepreneurship program at the peak of the pandemic. And he went through that entire learning system, which was delivered on WhatsApp and audio conferencing, and he was actually able to launch his business. I still remember when he pitched his idea, he was sitting in a thatched roof with a small light on his head, and he shared about his story on how he built a business. And today he's thriving. My goal is to create more such Gauravs in our community across the globe. So if you're someone who is excited about education, about improving access to education in your communities, and you're facing these problems, I'd love to talk to you. I have a grand vision for Ekatra that's 1 billion learners. And I want you to join me in this journey. You want to try out what we're building? Just scan this. It was lovely sharing these ideas with you. I really wish I could be there in person. But thank you very much.
Fantastic. All right, next up we're going to have Fabercise from the FAB24 team from Czech Republic. I can't wait to visit. Yes. I'll get you a mic.
Get the mic? Hello, my name is Vojta, and together with Michaela and the amazing team of FAB24, we would like to get you moving today. First thing, I would like to ask the guys with these t-shirts to raise their hands so that you can see them. They are scattered here around the area. Great. Second thing I would like to ask is the people in the elevated area that can see me well, if you guys could come down to the flat part, because we're gonna perform some movement. It's not gonna be dangerous, but it's not really suited for staircase, and it would be nice to have you down here. We'll play a song in a few seconds. All you need to know about the lyrics is it's about a train. It's a fun song, it's in Czech, and as a few of you might already know, we will have a mega train in Czech Republic connecting the 2 locations where the FAB25 will happen, Brno and Prague. Yeah, and we would like to get you excited for that, because we believe this is gonna be one of the most fun part of the whole event that we are creating. So, me and Michaela, we will show you how to create such a train, because it will be us creating the train. The locomotives, the machines, will be the people in the white FAB25 t-shirts, my colleagues, and me and Michaela. And you guys, you will be the carriages joining us. And we will move the train around the area here as long as the song is playing. It's about 3.5 minutes. And once upon a few seconds, the guys in the front will honk like this with the old, like the old trains were honking. So you guys in the back, you perform the same movement, and that's how we stretch a bit. Okay, so how do we do it? Imagine Michaela is now the locomotive and I'm the first carriage joining her. I'm just simply putting my hands on her shoulders and then we are moving. And this is the honking movement. Okay? All right, so we would like to ask Norella to play the song and let's go.
Neusínej, nechoď spát, neusínej, nechoď spát, až do rána bílýho my budem zpívat a budem hrát, až do rána bílýho my budem zpívat a budem hrát. Lásku má si jediná, do 13 nevinná, vyhrnu si rukávy, praštím s tebou do trávy, vyhrnu si rukávy, praštím s tebou do trávy. Jede mašinka, kouří se jí z komínka, jede do dály, leze samý ožralý, jede do dály, leze samý ožralý. Přijde ke mně průvočí, kleštičkama zatočí.
Lístky prosím, nemám, prosím, jak to prosím, to máte tak. Jak to prosím, nemám, prosím, jak to prosím, to máte tak.
Jel jsem jednou tramvají, pod sedačkou potají, přistoupila starší dáma, přisedla mi dař bujána, přistoupila starší dáma, přisedla mi dař bujána. Jede mašinka, kouří se jí z komínka, jede do dály, leze samý ožralý, jede do dály, leze samý.
Thank you. Check. Yes, Norella. I'm going to tell everybody to take a break. So we're going to take a break. I want to thank you all for being such a fantastic community. Everyone is so intentional in their work. Please take a break. If you want to network and mingle and talk to folks, do that. We'll see you back here in about, Norella, 15? 20 minutes. Norella gave us an extra 5 minutes. Thank you. Here, boss lady.
Don't wanna fall into your arms again. Don't wanna give you everything I have and see you walk away. Don't wanna fall into your arms again. Don't wanna be reminded of the pain and the love.
Foundation, father of 2 wonderful children. Awesome. Hi, Tomas.
Thank you, Rodney. Okay, good morning, everyone. This is the last session of the week. We're going to try to bring some perspectives and create some conversation about something that I believe is quite in the heart of many of you, and maybe one of the reasons of why we feel like Fab Labs are so powerful, because they bring, I think, like a very clear channel, a very practical channel to go into places where there are issues that need to be resolved, and with the power of technology and the power of collaboration, we believe that that's possible to be addressed differently, no? And I believe that not only this year, but since the last 2 years, we have been seeing that very clearly in a program that together between Fab Foundation and Fab City Foundation, we have been putting in this network, which is the Fab City Challenge. And it's really calling for that spirit that I know most of you have, and that willingness of putting your knowledge and your practice at the service of local communities, but to bring it together to land into a place, not only to organize an event in closed doors, but also to connect with the communities that are outside these doors, no? And I think that's also one beautiful metaphor that I used to use, which is, the work that we're trying to do also from Fab City in general is to really take down the walls of Fab Labs, no? And connect them to the local context, and really put that power that we all have to the service of the local communities. But also more importantly, I think it's something that we learned in Bali and Bhutan, and I'm sure that a lot of you learn in the challenge here in Mexico, is that it's also recognition for the people that is already on the ground doing amazing work, and with just a little bit of an intervention from our side, we can magnify their impact. And that's why it's so important to intersect these communities together. So not only think about the machines and technologies, not only think that issues are going to be resolved without technology, especially in the moments that we are, and third of all, bring it in a very practical level and demonstrate it, and that's the whole point of the challenge, no? What we see also is that that's not enough, no? And then I think what we're going to see today is the work of different Fab Labs, but also non-Fab Labs, both in Mexico and other places in the world, that are trying to keep this permanently, which is very hard. When you talk about innovation, impact, that's usually not where the money is. It's very difficult to keep it going, no? So we're going to have a conversation around the potential of impact, not only from the idealistic point of view, I would say, but also from the realistic point of view, how to keep it sustainably over time, no? So I'm very happy to introduce 3 speakers today. Some of them are very deeply connected historically. The first one is Guillem Camprodon from Fab Labs Barcelona at the Institute for Advanced Architecture of Catalonia. Guillem. He's the flamant director of Fab Labs Barcelona. The other one is Eugenio Barrios, the director of the program of water from the Foundation Gustavo Ríos Arronte. Gracias. Eugenio, please join us. And last one, we're going to have Elaine Regina from Fab Lab Bali, one of our lead researchers and recent graduate of the Fab Academy. So we're going to start talking or hearing from Guillem Camprodon from Fab Lab Barcelona. Guillem, over to you. We have the clicker?
Oh, yeah, sure. Okay, so good morning, everyone, and thanks to the partners, and in particular to Tomas for inviting me for that speech here. I was about to sit, but I think it's better I speak standing. It's a bit easier. So don't take me wrong, but I think at the early stages of the Fab Lab movement, it was easier to make impact than today. Or at least for us, when we started Fab Lab Barcelona, even by doing very small things in a context where accessing a 3D printer was something hard, it was very easy that everything we were doing had an impact. But soon we realized that our impact was actually limited, and that the only way we could sustain the impact was if we started to bring the impact outside the walls of the lab. And that to do so, we actually had to design not only activities that happen within our lab, but also tools and methods that others could replicate. So actually, we started that with a project called a Smart Citizen that actually maybe some of you have heard. In the year 2012 at Fab Lab Barcelona, we decided to put together some tools that would enable people to rethink the smart city from a bottom-up approach. And so we started with this idea of making low-cost sensors. We started with this idea of actually designing tools that people could use. But after running the project for about 3 years, we found out that most of the sensors that people purchased were offline. So we realized that actually we were putting the effort not on designing ways to bring the community closer to technology, but we were putting the effort into designing hardware. We were putting the effort into designing a product, and that's not enough. So in the year 2016-17, we went back to the design desk, and we started to question ourselves what is actually about for a Fab Lab to create tools that others use, and how that differs from actually designing just a simple product like a company would do. And in this context, we started to understand that we had actually to connect with the community in a set of steps that we call adopt, adapt, and apply. But you know, lately, as we've been talking these days a lot about AI, about intelligence, about general intelligence, and I think we all agree that what we make also at Fab Labs is intelligence. We make knowledge. I like maybe more to call that what we do, and you'll see in a moment through examples, is that we make situated intelligence that then communities appropriate to actually build their own appropriated intelligence or appropriated knowledge. And finally, they come out with new solutions that differ completely from what we originally had in mind. So we can call it emergent intelligences. So let me show you very briefly. So kind of you see that what I'm explaining to you, it's based on facts. So this is a community in Barcelona of makers putting together this, we call it a noise box. It's a way actually to engage a community around a particular issue, in this case, noise. So makers, designing tools, making them at the lab that bring communities together. This is actually the community that was built after that device that successfully measured the noise in one of the Barcelona most noise-polluted areas with a lot of complex around this. But later on, the same community not only succeed to collect the data, but they started actually to be able to make sense of the data using the platforms that we have built. But to me, what's more important is how we go from actually people using tools that we design to people appropriating them. So this, for example, here, it's actually people who started to use that in the context of elderly people. And you know, usually when we talk about technology here, I think we don't talk so much about this audience. But actually, this is, for example, another community who actually started to find ways alternative to the digital to actually visualize the data and compare the data. In this case, this is about air pollution in Venice. Or a community in Barcelona who, after taking the measurements, they started actually to create action in the public space to reduce the level of pollution by creating furniture that change the use of that space. But you know, what's happening now, and I'm very amazed, is how actually people are starting to use the things on their own way and kind of not only using our tools, not only adapting them, but just creating things which are completely new. This is a new methodology that they are using now in Barcelona to discuss about issues regarding air and noise pollution in the neighborhood of Gracia. This is a tool that was designed by another community, in this case also in Barcelona, to bring close to people suffering indoor environmental issues. It's part of a project called the Urban Health Laboratory. And you can see, for example, using 3D printing to create maps of the city. Or this, for example, this is actually, you know, a community in Germany who decided to put our sensors on bikes and create these maps of PM 2.5, in this case, of the city dynamically. You know, this here, for example, is just, you know, people in Barcelona who decided to put our sensors in a boat. So we have now real-time maps of the pollution, of the water pollution in the harbor. But you know, this thing not only applies to sensing, to participatory sensing, we could say, it also applies to the way we work more broadly at Fab Lab Barcelona. This is a project where actually we work with schools. This is actually teachers, the director of one school with our team in the school trying to imagine how a lab will look inside a school. And those actually are the parents of the kids on the school appropriating the tools of the Fab Labs to make things they need. These are bags, they are making them to sell. Or these, for example, are the kids of the same school that actually, after that, they succeed to map the architectural barriers that are on the school and just kind of design it 3D printed ramps that are being used by one of the kids who's actually on a wheelchair. But the thing continues, and that's, for example, in a different context, also related to schools. Here is Anastasia working with a community of teachers and makers of Poblano, showing them how to make biomaterials using bio-waste from the neighborhood, from restaurants and from gardens. And these are the kids, actually, starting to understand what biomaterials are. And then finally, these are the kids coming out with radically new uses of biomaterials. You see these climbing blocks they designed for the schools using recycled coffee beans mixed with resins. And the other one is the research they are doing on you know, like these glass colored panels using cathedrals that they reproduce with biomaterials and 3D printing. So I hope that all of these kind of give you an idea of how we kind of see or how we kind of work to engage with communities. And you know, at the last, I just want to kind of underline the importance of also finding spaces where this kind of, we could say, intelligence, knowledge, action remains for the others to replicate. So you could see here some of the work we've been doing for the last 10 years, the Smart Citizen platform, the MakeWorks platform, or now newly will be launched very soon, the Distributed Design Platform Learning Hub. So I hope this gives you a bit of an idea of what we do, and we can now discuss more about the methods and actions. Thank you.
Thank you, Guillem. I think this is a really nice segue to Eugenio to bring us a little bit of a non-very Fab Lab-centric perspective, but very Fab Lab-connected perspective. Thank you.
Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for the invitation. It's really interesting what you are doing, really exciting about sharing some experiences. And of course, trying to make this challenge of collaboration very interesting for us and for your community. I'm coming from this foundation, the Fundación Gonzalo Río Arronte, that was established by a very rich man. By the way, this businessman was from here, from Puebla. He was one Poblano. And he really made a big fortune in the 50s, 60s last century. And he left all the money that he accumulated through his life to create this foundation. And the main goal and the main of this foundation is to work to alleviate those problems related with water, with health, and with drug addictions. Those are the three main areas, the three areas and the three purposes of this Don Gonzalo Río Arronte made at the time he established this foundation. We have been working here, well, it was established in 2000. And just to give you an idea of what we are doing, along these 23 years, the investments in the whole Mexico and the projects that we have developed around the country is really very broad. The investments in these 3 years is around 3,000 million pesos. It's around 110 million US dollars that has mobilized 4 times this amount. So as you know, we have a very good amount of resources, financial resources. We have a good geographical coverage in terms of the states and parts of Mexico that we are working. We are mainly working in the south part of the country, from Puebla down to Yucatan. But this is just part of the story. What is more interesting nowadays for us is that most of this money has go through NGOs or civil society organizations. 70% of these projects have been developed by NGOs, so they are our main partners. And these organizations are the muscle of our foundation. We have worked along these years with 180 NGOs. That is a good amount of NGOs. And that's the main well, I think it's one of the main successes that we have had. In addition, we work with governments and another private sector, also with university and research institutes. This is, since 2-3 years ago, we started thinking about what we have done in the past, and we developed a new strategic framework. That is, how do we convert our resources, these financial resources with a lower potential of mobilize additional resources into our main result, that is water. How do we bring water to the people? Yeah? And that's our main result. We are measuring water in terms of drinking water, treated water, water for the environment, whatever form of water we have, and that's our main resource. But that's not our main goal, because at the end, our main goal is to have impact on society. And in that sense, we have identified that our main goals in terms of impact are, of course, health, the health of communities, the health of increasing family income, the goal of reduce or deal with water conflicts, and also gender is also very important in terms of our impacts. Resilience, that is a challenge, currently is a big challenge. We need to understand better how to deal with resilience at community level, and finally to have all this impact to the SDG goals. These are the phases of our work. As I told you, our main partners, is the civil society in Mexico that are covering, currently we have around 60 organizations working with us, supported by us, that are covering around 500, 600 communities, rural communities mainly, around Mexico. So in that sense, that's our main challenge that we have. Water is a very powerful resource in terms of mobilizing and creating social capital, let's say it. Our organization have worked a lot on that. But one big opportunity that we have is how to improve and how to bring technology down to the earth and be part of the solutions that we are supporting in the country. Of course, we have this big platform of NGOs that are the main source of in order to reach our goal. Thank you very much.
Many thanks, Eugenio. That's extra credits for taking even less time than given. So, Elaine, you have the challenge to do it. We have a private challenge. So, Elaine Regina from Fab Lab Bali is going to talk us about some interesting projects there, so in Indonesia. Yeah.
Cool. Hi everyone, my name is Elaine and I'm from Fab Lab Bali in Indonesia, and today I'd like to share one of our ongoing projects called the Green Hydrogen Village, where we're addressing energy reliance in Bali's coastal communities and how we're approaching it through a blended way of social and technical research. And so why green hydrogen? Because Bali, if you've been there before, it's an island surrounded by vast oceans, and we get really good solar exposure on an average day. And considering the different environmental impacts and footprints of different energy resources, we think green hydrogen emerges as the most fitting choice in the context of Bali. And so for those who are new to hydrogen, so in our project, we're interested to see how we can split water into hydrogen and oxygen through an electrolysis method. And with that hydrogen, we're interested to see how we can use the fuel cell to power electrical vehicles as well as appliances for residents' day-to-day use. And we're also interested to see how we can turn the gas for cooking purposes for the residents. And with the oxygen, we're also quite interested to research on how we can possibly bring this back into the environment by through dissolved oxygens and applying it in mangrove areas in Bali. And so we already have the first location, which is in North Serangan Island. This should be a GIF playing, but well, technical difficulties. And yeah, so this is where we see Fab Lab Bali serve as an interface for community innovation to support the local Fab City as well as meaningful design agenda. And considering, Bali is declared as the first Fab Island through the Fab Island challenges that we did in Bali Fab Fest 2 years ago. And so we have 10 local challenges and 10 innovation projects. And even till today, actually in Bali, we're still building upon these challenges. And one of the ongoing projects, the Hydrogen Village, stemmed from Cesar Jangharada's Balon Balon Ijo project that was presented 2 years ago. And so we totally understand that hydrogen is still a very expensive energy resource, and that's why we're approaching it in a super distributed, inclusive, open source, and direct grassroots implementation to do decarbonization and create a just and regenerative economy for coastal dwellers. And so the way we're approaching it is, as I mentioned before, we have social and technical research. And so these are four philosophies, which I'm going to get into one by one. So first, we're utilizing the existing and established indigenous system in Bali called the Banjars. So for context, Banjar is these community gathering spaces where residents will gather, do activities, religious or just, cultural activities. And we're interested to see how we can turn these banjars into innovation hub. So in Sarangan, there are these 7 banjars, and if we could somehow potentially turn this into a successful innovation hub for green hydrogen production, this could be an interesting model for replication and scalability to prototype for locally productive cities. And for community development, we're currently doing activities meant for capacity building, and so these are the several workshops that we've done with the local youth. We are also gathering studies and from the locals there, basically to figure out how we can build a regenerative entrepreneurship and also make an alternative tourism village model that could work in Bali. And so this is our energy resilience research. So we have a lot of things that we're interested to tackle for the energy resilience aspect, and we're really open for collaborators here to join us if you're doing any of this research. But essentially, we're interested in doing low-cost hydrogen generator, material development for hydrogen storage, environmentally friendly catalysts, and how do we increase dissolved oxygen in mangrove areas, and how we can make this super applicable in terms of consumer products for the residents. And so these are just what we have done so far. Three of us took Fab Academy and basically made prototypes that are related to those research areas earlier. And yeah, as we mentioned earlier, this is going to be an open source project, so we're going to upload what we've done so far in an open repository, and we also encourage people who are potentially doing hydrogen as their research to come collaborate with us here in Fab Lab Bali. And yeah, just to wrap up, this is how the social and technological interaction meant to happen, is that we're bringing the meaningful design approach as well as a grassroots approach to new tech adoption, and how this could be an interesting as well as a new distributed model for decarbonization and net zero innovations. And so yeah, make us your next research destination. You can find us in Instagram. You can also join our WhatsApp group or mail us if you have more specific questions. And yeah, this is just the team. We're missing one person here in Maddie. Sorry, Maddie, I forgot to put you there, but yeah, and just our collaborators for this Hydrogen Village project. And yeah, thank you very much.
Okay, Elaine just won the bet. Thank you so much, Elaine, Eugenio, Guillem. This was a fantastic, very, I think, concise overview of the work that you are doing on your respective contexts. No, I think we have a very Mexican context. We have a European approach, let's say, and also we have a Southeast Asian approach. And I think I can start with a question that somehow I am informed about it, knowing very well some of what has been presented today. But one of the issues I think you're finding in Bali, and also I think in the smart cities, and at some point maybe Eugenio, you can also jump into this issue, is when when you land in a community, how you deal with what you think the community wants or what you believe is useful for the community versus what the community really wants. No? So I think that this is a very interesting dialogue that usually, I don't know, lead to projects to have initial failures. Some other times the impact maybe is not well perceived by the community, but even though it's a great impact that you're generating. So maybe we can start from Guillem and go in this direction on, what's the innovation push in a community versus the pull, no? How that works in each one of your approaches.
Well, the first thing, it's pretty obvious, but and I didn't mention it in my presentation, but of course you need to work on things that matter to the people. And one of the big issues sometimes is that you approach a community and you want to do something because, I don't know, someone pay you to do that, or just because, you are a maker and it's very cool to do it right, or you want to test something and you forget about what people cares about. So focusing what people cares and discovering what people cares about is fundamental. The other one, if I have to kind of bring a tip here, it's that working cascade, or in other words, try to work as less as possible you directly with the grassroots community, and try to build communities around you that actually, support a transition between you, that you are a staff, usually you get, in a way, at least me, I'm director of Fab Lab, pay to do my work, to the grassroots communities that are investing their free time onto that. So avoid me talking to them and just start creating these groups of people, these diverse stakeholders that support that actually the one who ends up training someone about how to do something is not a tech expert Fab Lab guy, he's actually someone who also learned and had no background in technology previously.
This question is very interesting in the case of Mexico in our program, because when you approach the communities in terms of supporting them for getting water, many of the social organizations here in Mexico start from 20 years ago until now, they are starting creating and building this social process. Yeah, and what the people really want is water. Yeah, so there's along these years, many communities have developed these very strong social processes. Let's build governance, let's build whatever. And the water, what is the water? So since some years ago, we started this discussion with them to see, well, look, we need to bring water as soon as possible to the communities, and then start building that social process at the same time. We don't need exactly to have the social process in place to then bring the solutions to them. We need to create the social process, we need to create the solution at the same time, so the community can have results, because at the end is what they are interested in, to have and to start improving their way of life.
And that's a great segue to the work that you're doing in Bali and this, the technological research and the social research, but also maybe you can share some insights of the challenges that we are facing.
Yeah, so first of all, we're still very new. This project is not even a year old, so we're still in the very early phase of our Green Hydrogen Village project at the moment. So right now we have two ways of approaches, the community development and the technological development. And so in terms of, right now they're still quite fragmented. I would say we're trying to figure out how we can start combining them together in the middle. But yeah, for the social community development, especially for residents who've never heard about like Fab Labs and all, it's taking basically a lot of time just to explain to them like what's happening. So the way we approach our community development is see how can we utilize like cultural, existing cultural, let's say systems or things, and apply it in the context of like Fab, how we can make like workshops that could basically like gather, like have stems in STEAM, but then like, it's something that they can still think, oh, I'll still do it. So for example, we make like a biodye workshop with kids, and for them it's like, oh, this is like an arts and craft class, but then like, we're making biodyes out of the local plants in Sarangan, and then this is how we're approaching things. And then we're also doing a lot of group discussion research with the local people there to learn what's their main pain point. And that way we're basically figuring out, okay, how can we meet what the community wants and how we as a Fab Lab can approach it in the middle with the different technological developments that could rise up from, hydrogen and all. So, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, and I want to bring now the discussion and things that you, I think, mentioned directly or indirectly. It's also the expectations, right? And I think here, like, with the work of your foundation or Fab Labs, when they're situated in a specific context, you have to manage expectations, both from you were talking, from the funding, like what your funder wants. And in this case, I know Fab Lab Barcelona with EU-funded projects, there is a series of impacts that you have to cover. When you were mentioning about investment also, and I was interested also to understand what you are expecting when you support these NGOs to do this kind of work. What you expect in return? And then Elaine also, what's from the very, at the very local level, how do you feel that the expectations, what kind of impacts the community is willing to get, And then we're starting to talk about impact of these kind of initiatives and in general of your work, how to deal with expectations as impact from many levels, So maybe Eugenio, you want to start?
Well, as I mentioned, what we are expecting is to translate all our investments in water, first of all.
But it's a number. It's like a liters of water, or is I want to also stress
at this time,
like
we don't have any, because it's a big challenge for the communities, because what we used to receive in terms of projects are, well, I don't know, we are gonna make, 100 workshops and 300 community meetings or whatever. Well, okay, that's very good, but tell us the amount of water that you're gonna save, that you're gonna supply, that you are gonna treat. So start aligning everybody on the same indicators. Okay. And once that we have that indicators, we will improve the way of measure that indicators, the way of working with that indicators to generate those impacts that we are expecting. As I mentioned, we are measuring impact. It's very common when you start supplying water to a community, the improvement in health is immediately. They improve their health, and they improve the family income immediately. Instead of buying water from a very far away or buying a water tank or whatever, they start saving that money. And they start also saving money in terms of health issues. So we are in the process of structuring that strategy so everybody can align on their same strategy and measuring and how to measure the results and the impact. And how to, and related with the previous question, how do we balance this social process with the right solutions? And all of you are very expert on this, on bringing down that technology to the people. So how do we find that balance? I think is one of the main challenges and the expectations we have, of course.
Yeah, absolutely, and we're gonna go to that, like finding these kind of synergies. But I also, before going maybe to Guillermo or Elaine, any of you that want to ask a question after this round, I'm gonna open the microphone if you wanna post it to the speakers or to the conversation. So, Guillermo, yeah.
So I would say kind of the traditional answer will be you have to manage expectations, right? But how do you manage expectations? Well, to explain it like on a real case, like something we had to learn is that it's better actually to offboard communities sooner than later. What does it mean? Originally at Fab Lab Barcelona, like I guess in many of your spaces, you would start a project through some funding, you'll gather people there, and then you'll try to support that communities for as long as you can, and to the point that actually you don't have more funding, and you don't know what to do, and it still keeps coming, and there's a misunderstanding, and something even might end up going in the wrong direction. So to us, what we do right now, it's fundamental that any process that we do with communities, as soon as possible, we start to empower them. For example, to put you a very specific case, not to always go to our lab when they need fabrication. And so to start engage with other maker spaces of the city. Barcelona right now has 5 public Fab Labs. And so it's something that took us a while to realize, and something that had a lot of internal discussions in that team. But just to put you a very specific example in this case, there's a community well-known called Remix El Barrio, actually got a very important prize a couple of years ago, starting our lab. And we have to onboard them quickly so they realize that the lab was a city. and they realize that, you know, they have actually to make their own. And now they even actually now got prizes and do very cool stuff, and sometimes I don't even know, and sometimes the Fab Lab is not even mentioned, but that's not what it's about, right? It's about incubating ideas, and then they go and they flow, and you actually have to detach from them, which is also something that sometimes takes a bit of an emotional effort.
But and then like going back to the impact question, no, like you value that as you add that to your how you measure your impact. Are you saying how many projects don't depend on you? Like
you
know,
try
to
to
stretch
do.
a
The
bit.
problem is that there's a moment that you don't. Let's say it's hard to map where things are. So actually, sometimes I think like we might need to start kind of to put someone to track these communities, because there's a point, right? They start to their own. You don't talk to them anymore that regularly. And yeah, they are impacting. In a way, it's your impact because you supported that in a stage where, let's say, no one was supporting them, but you even lost control, I would say.
Okay, thank you. Maybe Elaine, I think going to you, and again, I have privileged information. We can go to talk about like the promised KPIs that we started in the project, and how is that going? How it started, how is it going?
That's one answer. Woofed. Yeah, pretty much. Obviously, like we promised, but then when we did like a lot of like things that we proposed on ground, we realized that okay, we kind of need to restructure to make sure that our impact are more achievable, because it's just that local existing systems, let's say in Serangan, tends to be a little bit, oh, okay, this is not what we expected, but that doesn't mean we stop from here. We try to find our way around. And so, for example, like when we talk about hydrogen, hydrogen is still a very far thing away from, let's say, the Serangan locals, but we know, hey, like this is gonna be really super useful for you, and it's gonna be super impactful for your energy use. But for them, because there is a problem with waste, they're more like, can we do something with waste instead? And so maybe that's where we find new opportunities. Okay, we can still do things related to hydrogen by generating it from waste potentially, and maybe that's how we get communities, local community support. And so right now we're actually, if you're asking, I found this question to be hard for us in Fab Lab Valley, because we're still early and we're still looking around for opportunities where we can sort of fit what the locals want, as well as, you know, fit what we already promised in the KPI. So right now we're always brainstorming on how we can meet things in the middle, and please support us and look out for us in the future.
And if you are a funder, if you put money into these kind of projects, you need to understand that this needs to happen, right? Like this constant adaptation, and sometimes it's very difficult in more rigid cases, no, in the structure of funding. So anyone has a question? I can continue. As you see, I have privileged information to point to them. Yeah, Vic.
Hi. Just wondering, in Bali, what exact uses are you going to put the hydrogen to? I mean, is it just for transport? Are you going to try and generate power, or use it directly in engineering for cutting and welding and stuff?
Yeah, what's the actual use? I think we missed the actual use of the hydrogen in the community. What's the potential use?
Yeah, so for Indonesia right now, there is a huge decarbonization effort, because I don't know if you've seen some news, is that Indonesia is one of the largest polluted country in the world. So there is actually some investment right now, national investment, to utilize hydrogen for transport. So if no one has been to Indonesia before, a lot of people tend to ride like these motorcycles, and considering the amount of population in Indonesia, it's just causing all this pollution. And so actually, like in the capital city, there's already a hydrogen charging station, but for us in Bali, we're interested to see how we can potentially utilize this hydrogen application in the motorcycle transport, but at the same time, we're also interested to see how we can apply it in the jukungs, which is like the small fisherman boats, because a lot of them still use fuel, and sometimes fuel are actually inaccessible for these people. And so let's say in the context of remote Balinese areas, sometimes it's very expensive for them to get fuels, and then it makes much more sense to actually use hydrogen from water to potentially, you know, fuel these transportation. But we're also looking just for electrical appliances like refrigerator, as well as cooking using hydrogen as a gas.
Yeah, my concern is that hydrogen being used by transport is a contributor to global warming because hydrogen is not a benign greenhouse gas. And using it for transport causes incredible losses of the hydrogen gas into the atmosphere. And a much more environmentally friendly way of using hydrogen is to use it in situ, very close to where it's generated, rather than losing half of it, sending it around the world for fuel and increasing global warming.
Yeah, I mean, this is something I guess that we have to learn closer, but until now there is a lot of excitement. Maybe it's a technology slash profit push from the industry of finding these applications in transport, and it's one of the most obvious ones that from the top-down level is being done in Indonesia. But what is true is like this project especially is aiming to explore the low-cost, low-pressure green hydrogen production for energy sovereignty for communities, right? And especially in an insular country like Indonesia, is 17,000 islands, 17,000+ islands, a highly distributed country. So bring to people these capabilities of produce locally energy, food, things, no? But that will be, I think, like the response in our case, where the other hidden agenda is what Elaine explained. No, we are working with the Banjar structure. The Banjar is the socio-cultural religious organization in Bali, and there are similar of these that work differently in the rest of Indonesia. So in the site that we are working there are 6 Banjars. In each one of these Banjars is a building that's most of it, like in some cases like this big or half, right? And in most of the cases, half of the day is empty because that's where they do rehearsals of certain dances, or people gather to weave the ceremonial ornaments that they put. So we are exploring how to turn these Banjars into innovation spaces to empower local communities. And this is not only us, there's been other people in the country doing this. And the potential of this is that in the rest of Bali, there are 4,600 Banjars. It's like the main community organization, and this is kind of a great opportunity to try to build from within an innovation infrastructure that could be unique, no? And then the hydrogen is excuse. We usually say, like hydrogen energy is kind of an excuse to land this project. But in general, we're talking about technological empowerment. Yeah.
That sounds like you have a lot of work to do. Good luck.
Yeah, and just adding to that context, I think what he was mentioning earlier, that would have been a very top-down approach that could definitely happen. But that's why we're interested to see how with local Banjars, through using lab, we could potentially make something that is less in terms of environmental footprint, less bad. I would say that's how we approach it with the Banjars.
Anastasia, and then we have to react in 1 minute. Anastasia, here we have, and this is the last question.
I just wanted to ask your insights or tips regarding how we can educate communities. What are the best formats, or what are the best approaches for education? Because we understand that communities, they are resistant to change, and at the same time, the educational part is very important for implementing social innovation.
So yeah, very short, in 30 seconds each. What's the education approach to communities to guarantee sustainability over time?
Short answer. Well, I mean, it's pretty obvious, but we try that everything we do with communities, it's building capacity, it's training, it's skills. That's why if you look at everything we do, I even kind of said this kind of adopt, adapt, apply. So long story short, don't bother with other things. Just build everything that you do as a training, and that way from the beginning you are on that. The second one, very quickly maybe, is that of course in many cases we also need to start thinking, how do we pay people to come and learn, and not just expect the people to ask this kind of trainings in the afternoon.
Well, just a short answer. I think that's a great value of grassroots organizations, because they trust the communities, trust them, they live very close to them, and they know the ways on how to approach So it's a big value, and it's the big channels we need to really strengthen in order to have this potential outreach to all these communities.
Yep, very short answer would be in Bali because they have very strong roots of culture as well as historical context. So we always try to approach how we can utilize these workshops and blend with the local cultural activities or things. So anything that is familiar to them, we try to utilize those concepts and see how we can use digital fabrication in what they already know. And that's usually really fun for these people. They'll be like, oh, I never knew I could approach like cultural things in such way, in such technological way. And it's always a huge fun and a huge surprise for the locals.
Yeah, well, with that, I think we're done, but I want to leave on stage a question or maybe a challenge, a possible continuation of this kind of work is looking at Fab Labs working with local grassroots communities supported by foundations to become custodians of water, of forests, or species around the world. So this is a beautiful, explanation of different scales of this kind of work and the potential that it could have in the future of our network. Thank you. Yep, thank you.
Thank you, my dear. Thank you, Thomas. Thank you so much, Thomas. Well, we're coming to the end of our incredible week together, and I don't know, I've had an awful lot of fun. There was the beautiful Art2Fab exhibit, which was around sustainable and regenerative solutions to all sorts of issues in our society. And then, of course, the fashion show last night. And I don't know how many of you were there last night. I was there. It was amazing, absolutely amazing. Hats off to all of the people who contributed and to Anastasia and her team for making it possible. It was absolutely beautiful. And, of course, the FAB25 organizers, so like Ari Starko and his team. So, just as a moment to celebrate before we kind of get to all of the things like FAB25 and FAB26 and FAB27, we have an absolutely, what is this? Oh, I'm so sorry. I completely forgot, sorry. So we have, oh, I see. So now we have the Fab Initiative, which is related. Oh my goodness, that's so funny. I think I didn't get enough sleep last night. But Kat from CBA and Tobias from the Hamburg team, and Niels and Thomas will talk today about Fab City metrics and some of the technologies. This is a beautiful project that is emerging from the network, and we're anxious to hear more about it. So sorry about that. Thanks.
No, thank you. I mean, it was a great introduction, I have to say. Thank you, Las. So it's going to be you, everyone.
I'll introduce you.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
Let's sit. Yeah. All right. Let's sit, everybody.
I know.
All right. After this great introduction, we will just talk for the next half an hour or so about Fab City technologies. Okay, 2 15-minute programs. All right. First, Thomas will talk to us about Fab City.
Yeah, sure. I mean, something that you have heard before very quickly. I think to think about the Fab City beginnings is related to what I was saying before. No? One of the motivations of working with technology is not just for the technology itself, but to see how it can transform the way we live at different scales, no? At neighborhoods and entire cities, with larger ecosystems and also the planetary level. No? So the Fab City Promise started with this diagram. I think it's a conversation between the former mayor of Barcelona, Neil, Vicente Guallard, which is one of the founders of IAC, on looking on how Barcelona can produce almost everything it consumes locally, no? For many reasons, on how wasteful is our linear model, the impact that it has on jobs, in the environment, et cetera, et cetera. And also start to launch the big challenge on how we can hack it and how we can make a system, build a model, a new industrial model that we don't ship materials around the world, but we exchange data globally, and materials circulate locally because they're heavy, they're difficult to transport, no? So this kind of a joke became something very real. The photo in the left is the former deputy mayor of Barcelona launching a city full of Fab Labs in Lima in 2011 in Fab 7. The photo in the right is Neil with the former mayor of Barcelona pushing a button to start a 40-year countdown for Barcelona to achieve that promise of produce almost everything it consumes locally. And that was crazy enough to, to convince other people to follow. To be honest, we were not planning to have other cities joining the year after when we did the Fab 11 in Boston and so on and so on. So in a way, we had to manage, very difficult relationships with major offices, which is very annoying, and build an initiative while people were, having excitement about it. We really didn't know so much what we were doing, but we kind of knew what we were doing. So this is a photo from a couple of weeks ago in Barcelona. We were celebrating the 10th anniversary of that moment. On the 6th of July of 2024 is the 10th anniversary of the countdown, when the countdown started. So, and we will continue these celebrations in other places in the world. So now it's 54 cities in the world. So we're going to have 2 new joining this year. And Eric was asking the other day, how we're going to do this, and then we wanted to jump and say, hey, we have the Fab City full stack. The Fab City full stack is trying to understand how we can unpack the Fab City challenge in smaller pieces that use the technology, situated in different contexts, and look at what is the impact at larger scales. No? So just to summarize, last year in Bhutan, we were having a Fab City full stack workshop that we invited Neil, and he came with a hack. And that hack is like, okay, let's make a handshake to present next year in Mexico real work about how we can measure the progress of cities to achieve that 2054 goal. And that's why we are here.
Good. So let me explain the slight confusion about schedule and what's happening and the help we need from everyone, which is 12:30 is a hard stop. My understanding is there's an event coming in at 1, so we're completely done at 12:30. We have the Fab City program, then we have the Human Relations Jobs platform, and then we need to run through 24, 25, 26, 27 with many important transitions. So I'm rushing everybody because we can take 15 to 20 minutes on this, of which we've used 5 or so. We can take about 15 minutes on jobs to leave enough time for what's coming. So all of those are going to be rushing. I'll be intrusive about timekeeping to get all of those important things done by 12:30. Now, the reason I wanted to interpolate between Tomas and Tobias is just the Fab City program has been one of the most successful things we've done with the summits, with the cities, with the challenges. And I've also been critical with Tomas of we built a tall building and we didn't dig a deep foundation. So there's a tall building without a good foundation to hold it up. At the bottom is how do you measure your progress and how do you evaluate the scaling of the technologies? And that's really been needed. And so Tobias and his colleagues from HSU have had an incredible role. They helped support Danielle to create the Open Lab Starter Kit you've seen. They've helped to create mobile labs in Ukraine. They've helped with the launch of the Fab City Foundation. And each of those just stepping in where something needed to happen in the network and wasn't happening. They weren't appointed. There wasn't a special role. They've just been really important in doing that. And so Tomas, Tobias, and I met, as he described, to launch this initiative on Fab City technologies. This isn't spanning the whole stack. There's so much to say about that you'll hear in Merida for you going there. This is digging the foundation to hold it all up. So Tobias?
Yeah, thank you. Fab Cities, if you talk about Fab Cities and regions that aim to become resilient, circular, sustainable, you also need to take into account, need to go, you need to think about how these cities may produce almost everything they consume, right? This is one of the basic ideas. The question is, will we ever achieve this goal? And what does it mean exactly to produce everything that we consume in cities and regions? How do we meet this goal? And the answer to this question is, I don't know. And the reason is not because I'm pessimistic. The reason is that we just can't say right now because of missing data and because we did not work systematically until now. And that's what we want to do with these projects, or with this project with two topics. So it is not, and there are two reasons for that. First, we don't know exactly which kind of technologies and production capacities we need in the Fab cities and regions to meet their specific needs. And second, we do not have a systematic overview of Fab City technologies. What we already have, and we see it here, we see it in all the labs, we have a lot of technologies to build almost anything, and we even have the means to build the machines that build almost anything. And how we did this, I mean, what we have here, and we see it on the last slide, Thomas, please, yeah. There are a lot of technologies out there. We are able to build personal protective equipment, and we're able to respond to other crisis situations where we are able to manufacture products that are urgently needed. We are able to build shelter, furniture, turbines, vertical farming systems, water purification systems. We are able to build prosthetics and even an MRI. And the way how we did this in the past was usually we were developing because we were driven by urgent needs, or just because we have some specific knowledge or experts for a technology and we had fun developing something and building it. So Fab City technologies like this are often documented on different, mostly open online repositories, but the way they're documented is not always standardized, or maybe only in a few cases. And this is a problem because it makes it really hard to replicate them, or at least to assess them properly. So next slide, please. So this is one part of our cooperation here. We'd like to really seriously achieve the goal of Fab Cities, and that means we need to systematically document Fab City technologies. That is what we want to do with such a platform you see here. That means we are integrating the knowledge that already exists, but we also need to standardize. We need to have proper documentation, and with the Open Lab Starter Kit of Daniele, we are already trying to do and to exercise this, get a proper documentation and make it really accessible. This may also include a digital product passport for such technologies that includes like design information, but also information about the production process, for example. Next slide, please. Second subject of our cooperation is that we need to find out what are the demands of the cities and the regions. And this means what are the products and how many do we need? We cannot serve all of the products that are needed in cities and regions, and that's why we need to prioritize. But at first, we need to find out what is the demand. We need to find out how many chairs, tables, toothbrushes, washing machines, computers are needed per year in a region to really answer the question, are we able to produce them? And this is, as I said, our second subject of this cooperation, and we started finding metrics to measure, and this is a challenging endeavor, as you may expect, and maybe both of you, as you are involved in that, can elaborate on these challenges that we have in finding metrics for Fab Cities.
Yeah, the question is, how do we measure how far we are on the way towards the Fab City until 2054? As was mentioned, that means we produce everything ourselves in a Fab region, in a Fab city, on a Fab island, in a Fab country like Bhutan. We don't import anything. This is really a big, big challenge. It's probably the biggest transition for hundreds of years. And today we don't do this, and where are we? So we need data on what can we produce. I mean, can Fab City produce sneakers? Can it produce toothbrushes or not? Or are they imported from Asia somewhere? The first approach to measure that was the Fab City index from Fab City Paris in 2018. What they tried to figure out was where between 0 and 100 means full circular economy, are several French cities, and they came up with these numbers. Like Paris, you can tell it in percent, 37.58%. We wanted to know where is Hamburg. One problem with that was that, one, the whole methodology was proprietary. Second, it was not very fine-grained. So I started in a bigger project as a sub-project. Next one, please, Thomas. Or you. Eins vor. Noch eins. I tried to figure it out with publicly available data. So we have the statistical offices. In our case, Hamburg is a city-state, is a federal state, so the city has its own data, which is not true for many other cities because they're maybe part of provinces or whatever. And I compared theoretical production manufacturing capacity in percent of estimated consumer demand for 16 economic sectors. If the bar would be fully colored, then we would be at the goal and we could produce everything. You see that many of the bars are empty, so there's a long way to go for Hamburg, and I'm sure for other Fab cities or regions the bars would be the same. However, not all bars are equally empty, so we could maybe identify where do we start to improve, to make interventions from the Fab Lab community. Together with the economy, we need the local economy for that. It's not only an enterprise that is undertaken by Fab Labs alone. Fab Labs are more like an interface to a citizen innovation, but we still need professional manufacturers. Next one, please. The second data that we are after are so-called Sankey diagrams for material flows. While the bar system is more about self-sufficiency, what can we produce? The Sankey diagrams would show us self-reliance. How much materials do we need to import? Because in the Fab City of the future, we recycle everything, so it should be a closed loop. That means after 2054, you don't need Sankey diagrams, it's just circles in an ideal world. And for Hamburg, for instance, we have only this one for energy so far. So we have some data problems. Consumption data, at least for Germany, is very, very sparse. You mostly infer what the people spend the money for per year from consumer surveys. Production data is more detailed. That's because companies are legally required to give their production value to the statistical office. But actually, we don't have really numbers of what Tobias said, how many toothbrushes are produced in Hamburg in 2023, how many cucumbers are produced, whatever. So the gold standard would be if we had two different data sets, really number of items produced versus number of items bought or consumed, so that we can say, okay, Hamburg can produce 10,000 sneakers, but the people in Hamburg in 1 year buy 200,000 sneakers. Then we would say, okay, what is wrong with that? Production capacity or demand? And the digital product passport could be an important step forward. And the second one would be amount of material that is used. That would be for the Sankey diagrams. And that's what we will work on in this working group.
All right. Then in the last 5 minutes, I will take you through an additional little journey of other test cases we tried to do over the past 10 weeks or so. And we tried to basically, with the help of Niels, to try to do similar Sankey diagrams for Timpu and for Boston, and to even see if it's possible, if we would run into the same issues, what would happen. So with Timpu, we started out with finding some data, but it was only available on a national level. And it was really difficult to separate it out into which regions you could really use the data for. And it was quite surprising, because one of the reasons why Timpu was one of the first test cases, because we thought like, oh, maybe here we can basically map it out much easier than in a city like Boston. We started with a focus on food, because it was a national priority. And the first issue we ran into basically immediately was the fact that even within the agriculture sector, each index for each category was collected from a different year. So you couldn't even properly use them together. So the first thing we had to do was basically step away from TIMPO altogether and look at Bhutan as national data. So it wasn't even a city index anymore. And we found some data to look into material inflow and how the food would be consumed inside the country, and then what type of waste was produced afterwards. And we found enough data to kind of try and do a Sankey diagram, which was with the help of Namgal, who really sadly couldn't be here today. That's why I'm presenting her data right now. But it's not a usable Sankey diagram, but even the fact that it's unusable shows this insane gap in the data where like we can track more or less of how the food is consumed in a household, but we have no data for what food is consumed in a restaurant. We have no data for what food is consumed in schools. We have no data for what food is or like where the food goes when it's consumed into an industry context. Then we tried to do the same thing in Boston over the past 4 weeks, actually. So this was a nice little rush towards the finish line. We found some more data with the help of other organizations that did this. But here, same issue. And we found at the very least the fact that there is like how the food waste flow goes, and the fact that there is a lot of food waste coming from supermarkets. And that sort of brings us to the question that Tobias brought it in, where the point of collecting data is also the point of understanding where to intervene. So even with this little data that we've gathered here, it's kind of, okay, we know that there's a lot of food waste happening from supermarkets. Can we do an intervention on how to change this to something as local as Boston? And then I also put both of the Sankey diagrams together to kind of see that in both of the cities and Hamburg, so we can basically say that no matter how different the city is, the problem with the data sort of remains the same, which kind of gives us the ultimate problem where cities right now aren't collecting the data that we need in order to map these problems. So ultimately, the next step for any city is to basically even start collecting this data. And how do you start initiatives that are actually looking at all these data from the same year to be able to identify this accurately? And then we have some future things that we're looking at. One of them is Fablandia. Fablandia is a little speculative city metric simulation that we're using for two purposes. One, if we don't have data, I've been given 1 minute, let's do this quickly. If we don't have data, what would perfect data look like, and what would it allow us to do? And then the other one is also identifying what type of data we need. This is Kat. Kat likes to wear all black, and Kat used to live in Japan and then moved to Boston. Her consumption across Japan and Boston is vastly different. And her consumption is also different depending on how much sleep she's had and how many all-nighters she pulled, and if she had to fight dragons on the way. So the purpose of Fablandia as a metric city simulation is basically to show to cities and to city officials and other initiatives of what would be possible if we had the right data and what we could map. And the other purpose of, so this, what is perfect data? And it would be like narrative-driven city simulations. And the other part of Fablandia is a gamified city builder, which is a community-driven world-building game to figure out what data we need, because each city is different. And in each city, the community is different. So part of it is also getting together and building the Fablandia cities that help us then collect the data. All right, I've been cut off in a subtle way. Future outlooks, basically, it's towards interventions, figuring out more data, urging cities to gather the right data, and then leading towards interventions, which we will do now.
So it should be clear, a huge amount of work has gone into getting ready for this meeting. This has been a tremendous sprint of the team here. It pains me to rush them, but there's going to be a working group at what time? Let's see, do I have it here? Yeah, 3 o'clock. J117 is a working group to unpack what you just heard. And for those going on to Yucatan, then there's the whole Fab City Summit to unpack. And then this is going to be leading to this coordinated data collection, a need for cities to measure to stay in the program, then crucially using the data to guide interventions and beginning to develop a notion of Fab City Labs to drive the deployment to move these. It's been eye-opening how big the data problem is and how much the opportunity is to really scale the technologies. So thank you for all the work to get ready. If you're interested, come to the working group. So thank you for that. Now, as I introduce, let me bring the jobs group up, just back there. So to understand this next one, and we'll need to do this in 10 to 15 minutes. Come on up as I talk. We need to be efficient. We, as a community, neglect the most valuable, come on up, we need to be efficient. We as a community neglect the most valuable thing we make, which is people. We identify, train, mentor incredible talent, and then they kind of fall off a cliff. And so a longstanding frustration has been our failure to connect people looking for employment and employers looking for talent with each other. We've made a number of attempts at a jobs platform, and they haven't really been successful. They've been kind of segregated in, I want to find a Fab Lab manager. Meanwhile, there's enormous demand for talent, and we're creating tremendous opportunity. And so, just in this meeting, a number of the companies here have been coming up and saying, my God, how do we hire these people? It's an incredible talent pipeline. It's really valuable. In fact, I believe it's going to be one of the most important parts of the sustainability of the network. Hiring generates tremendous economic activity. There's tremendous demand for it. On the subway at MIT, there's $5,000 rewards if you can find a company, find an employee, given the demand for this talent pipeline. So at the instructor boot camp in Leon, I asked Nuria and Aristarco to help drive a kind of a rethinking, a reboot, a reinvention of the jobs platform network as one of the very important initiatives. It's right now just in a trial prototyping phase. And so Nuria will take you through that, and then it's going to grow into, from these trials, into what I think is going to become a really important platform in the network. So we have 10 to 15 minutes.
So hello everybody, I'm Nuria Robles from Fab Lab Leon in Spain. And over the last few months, Aristarco and I have been working in developing or in identifying how are the skills that Fab Academy students are developing during this course. And now we are in the phase of identifying what are the professional skills that the business and the companies need at this moment. So, and we are trying to create this jobs platform. It is still in progress, and this platform is not only for the students, because it supports the students to develop their professional careers, but it's also for companies, because it identifies and matches profiles with the offers that they are willing to include in their businesses. So there are many examples of students that have finished these courses, Fab Academy or Fab Academy, and they say how these courses allows them to construct a portfolio that showcases their skills to be able to demonstrate what are the competencies. One of these examples is Montse Giges. I was talking with her yesterday, and I asked her to tell her own story. And then we will have more invitees that I can introduce later. So this is Montse. I don't know if I can play the video.
Everyone, my name is Montse Giges. I'm working in Nike as a designer, innovator, engineer, and I'm so happy to be here with you today, even if it's just online. I would like to share with you how I joined Nike. After finishing my Fab Academy and Fab Academy courses, I was posting a lot of part of my final project and prototypes in social media, and one of them kind of viral, and then the human resources of Nike and the company saw my work and all the skills I have thanks to these programs, and they reached me out to be part of the team. Is for this, I can say Fab Academy, and Fab Academy was crucial to develop my career because in a really short time, you can develop a lot of skills and also create a really nice portfolio. Weekly, you can show what did you learn and what is your skills and demonstrate your competencies to the companies. In my perspective, I think the job platform will be really interesting, not just to connect the people or the students with the skills with the companies, what is in my case, what is what happened. Also, I think really interesting the idea of to develop new modular trainings that the companies can use to teach or to train their own employees.
Okay, so thank you so much, Monse. I don't know if you can, you are following us online, but we have to go on to have different point of views from our invitees. We have only 3 minutes each one. So I will ask Daniel Ingracia, the CEO and founder of InMachines, because I have heard you during all the conferences, all the conference, that you have said that all of the members of your staff are Fab Academy graduates. Can you explain a bit more why it's so important for you?
So, well, first of all, there is an emotional component because I think my company is basically a Fab Lab, was born from another Fab Lab. But on the other hand, we are a business, so we have to deal with deadlines and projects and machines and so on. Therefore, of course, I have to take care also of the people have the skills to do what I need them to do. On the other hand, we are still a small company. We were even smaller before. And I really think that Fab Academy creates that kind of diversified skill set that allows you to be more generalist in a small company. So in my company, we are 8 employees, and every one of us does almost everything, which is basically what you do in Fab Academy. Other than that, we have a one-to-one match for many things, because my company develops prototypes, and you do everything about prototyping in Fab Academy. And therefore, this matches also our vision. On the other hand, I would like to say that the time pressure that you have in Fab Academy in the short time makes you also able to have a quick response in case there is a special need in a small company like this. So we were able to respond quickly to customers and create, for example, these mobile labs in 3 months just because we had this mindset. Other people would have maybe said, no, it's too short time, we don't have the resources, but we think we can do it, and at the end we do it. So, and yeah, so we will look for more Fab Academy graduates, because I think it's one of the few mindset of the world that can benefit this type of company. But I believe that this kind of responsiveness and diversification of the skills can be helpful to many other companies that deal also with prototyping or machine building or other similar activities.
Thank you so much, Daniele. So the next question will be for Anastasia Pistofidou, the co-founder of the Fab Academy and Textile Academy. And I have seen during many years that you have posted some job offers into the alumni channels. Maybe you can explain a bit further why you consider that those offers are important, interesting for these students, or in the other hand, what are the skills that these students can fulfill for these job offers?
Yes, we actually have a Mattermost channel that is called Opportunities and Events, Opportunities and Offers. That is the most active channel, and it gathers all alumni. It's very important to have a network of alumni and to be able to inform them continuously with different job offers they have. And I think that it is important also to, the thing is that Fab Academy is smaller than Fab Academy, and it is more like made to measure, tailored. So when we find a job opportunity, we can already indicate like this student matches with this opportunity. So it's very one-to-one. so we have identified different careers, like what types of careers the students they can take. So we have independent innovators, researchers in academia, heritage explorer, industry innovator, arts and performance designer, wearable tech pioneer, lab director, making Fab Labs, or advocate for change. And we identify like what are these careers, where do they want to go? So when we have their profile, then we can direct them to the different opportunities. Many of the students, they do like competitions or artistic residencies. But the thing for me is another question that I want to pose on this panel is that you see Fabricademy in the 8 years of trajectory, it has around like 300, 400 alumni, and mainly the 55% is European and it is 85% is female. But when I go to the statistics of the views of the program, I see that I have 8,000 unique viewers. So my question here in this panel is how we can engage with all of those ones that follow our open access courses and practices, and they learn from us, and they could also be added in this platform.
Thank you so much, Anastasia. And those are the things that we can discuss in the working group that we have in the afternoon. The last question will be for our next invitee, Daniel Crash from Inspire Fab Lab. So, so you have made a study about the perception, that's how we can understand, and the integration of the digital fabrication, rapid prototyping, and maker movement into the business world, right? And you have found some challenges about hiring Fab Academy graduates. Can you explain a bit more about this study you made?
Thank you. I've rehearsed that to make it quick. So the research I started is based on São Paulo, Brazil region. So this is a niche of my research, and I started with companies and human resources. When I found out that human resources staff doesn't understand the way we express the skills we developed in the programs. So there is a communication issue here. If they don't understand, they don't reach out for it. Second thing is we have soft and hard skills being developed. And if we put those together, you're not a junior anymore, so you're willing to a more senior position, and this is another gap of miscommunication. Another thing, and this is for Brazil, I don't know about your country, Make a Movement is constantly associated with do-it-yourself and amateur projects, which is, it's not good for the marketing for a senior position job. So this is another issue that we have to take care of in Brazil. When I move to owners, business owners, then there is a different point of view coming into the conversation. Business owners are money-driven, and they're looking for like time to market efficiency and fast troubleshooting. Those are two things that we can deploy and develop in a company based on academic skills we develop. But again, there is a gap of communication here. The last thing, and that's what I'm starting to research now, is about strategy. There is a set of people that develop a strategy in companies. Well, they need staff on their teams to build the strategy, to implement the strategy. And the skills we develop in the programs, they're very handy for that, to make it quickly, and to make the corrections a strategy need through its building process. And well, this is a further thing to be done. Next year, I'll have this information. Thank you.
So thank you so much. If you want to join and give us your feedback, we have a working group yeah. Sorry.
Okay, so thank you, all of you, for the prep. Thank you, Nuria, for taking on a job that has failed 4 times and being brave enough to make it work the 5th time. I think this is so important. So once again, In J117 at 3 o'clock is the Fab City technology. At 4 o'clock is the jobs, really important initiatives for the network with a lot of work to get ready for this. So thanks to this group. And now, with the hard stop at 12:30, we have to go through 27, 26, 25, and 24. That means, yep, good. That means we have to hold ourselves to 6 minutes per year. And to guide us through that, I'd like to hand off to the boss. Narella?
I'm not the boss. I'm the boss of the stage. So, thank you all for being here today. So, I want to have some special announcements. First, remember that we are having buses available for everyone to go to the Fiesta Mexicana or Mexican party at 6 at the back door. So, please join us there. Don't miss that. That's going to be our closing party. And I want to thank Mexico. Mexico has been hosting us for more than 2 weeks now. Woo! Woo! And for those who are staying one more week, they will join us in Yucatan in next week. So we have one more week to go for those who are coming. So now we're going to have a little video recap of all the week. So stay tuned. It was made by Grace Gershenfeld, Neil Gershenfeld's daughter. Woo!
Brain power of the planet.
Thank you, Grace. And with that, I want to welcome Sherry back to stage because we definitely couldn't make it possible without these amazing partners and supporters that have been here with us for like 6 months trying to make this work. So I'm going to hand it over to Sherry.
That was a beautiful video, Grace. Thank you so much. What a beautiful week it's been. Just thank you. And made me want to cry. Just want to be sure that we recognize once again our partners in this work. So CBA, Center for Bets and Atoms, at MIT, Ibero, of course, and EDIT. What an amazing partner you all have been. Cien, which was the wonderful place we had the festival and the challenges last weekend. And of course, Fab City Foundation, which organized the challenges, and they're just amazing. And then, of course, our sponsors who really helped make this possible financially and with their collaborations. So Dassault Systems SolidWorks, Seed Studio, VW, Motwani Jadeja Global Foundation. They're the ones that brought all the young people from Codever here and helped fund the youth programs, which were wildly successful. Chevron, of course, both the government the government of Puebla and the city of Puebla, the municipality, and the Secretary of Economy, Brother, Trotec, Form Labs, Magna. I believe that's everyone. If I've forgotten anyone, I apologize. And then, of course, Fab Textiles, Fab Academy, the Fab Labs locally, Anahuac, everyone. Thank you. This couldn't have happened without you. I honestly think, in reflecting on the week, that this is one of the strongest content, but both in terms of what we saw on stage, but also in terms of what we saw in all the workshops. We had more than 200 workshops? Yeah.
We had more than 200 workshops, around 50 talks happening in the mornings. We had 5 different symposiums. I think it has been, at least post-COVID, the biggest conference we have ever had. So thank you, Ibero. Thank you, the Ibero team. Thank you, Aristarco, Adriana. I want to thank Adriana. Adriana, come here. Woo! Woo! And Aristarco, because they are the brains of all this that has been happening all this week here in Ibero, Puebla. So please, we want to thank them. Do you want to give some words? Do you want to give some words?
Yes, please. We have 3 gifts there, please, on the bottom. Abajo de la mesa, Adrián. Well, first of all, I want to thank the Fab Foundation team, the 3 women that made this possible, especially the elf behind everything, Norela. Thank you very much. We passed from the calls that now what she wants. And now we think we're going to miss you. I mean, we've been a wonderful job you did here at Ibero. Of course, Sherry, thank you very much for all your support. And Chelsea, please, Chelsea, come. Yeah, we have some gifts from the municipality. Thank you, Berenice Vidal, that is with us. Thank you for the gifts. And I want to also thank the Mexican team, Maricruz, that she helped us with the Artefab. Carlos, that did all the work in Cien. Alberto, that helped us with the challenges and the Beyond Fashion. Of course, the mastermind behind all the workshops, it's Uber. Thank you very much. And his team, It's amazing the amount of information that he can hold in his head. It's amazing, and his team, Oliver and Rafa, and of course the leader of the team, a real force of nature that has troubleshot everything that you've seen here. Thank you very much, Adriana. I would like to give you a personal gift. This is the first piece that came out with a design project with digital fabrication that I'll show you, and it's going to be showed in Edit. Thank you very much for everything, Adriana. And solo para recordar a los compañeros de todas las escuelas y tecnológicos, nos vamos a reunir a las 2 de la tarde en el lobby del hotel para ver los siguientes pasos de cómo hacemos una red de Fab Labs en Puebla.
And last but not least, we want to thank the volunteers. They have been doing an amazing job. There were 45 volunteers throughout the week, and we couldn't have made it possible without them. So thank you so much.
Yes, so, oh my goodness, thank you so much. Isn't that beautiful? Absolutely, don't let me drop it. As you can tell, I'm sleepy today. But FabX it's this wonderful, it's our favorite time of year. It's a wonderful opportunity for us all to gather and to do the knowledge exchange, and to, as I reflect on the week, I see how much we have. Each year we sort of issue, or we surface new problems, and then the next year we come back, and those of you in the network have started to solve them. It's absolutely amazing, the systems that you're building, the way the network is moving forward and growing and maturing and scaling. It's amazing. And this is where we really get to see and exchange knowledge. And the person that's been leading this all this time, has been organizing these almost every year for a long, long time, is Norella. Norella, I'd like for you to talk about FabX, if you would.
Well, long time, 7 years. Before that was Sherry. So yeah, it has been a long time. We have been here for almost, well, 2 decades, no, a decade, 10 years, yeah, for almost 2 decades. This is the 20th edition of the Fab Lab Conference and Symposium. We have gone all over the world. We are currently in Mexico. We want to cheer up again back Mexico for hosting us. Thank you. And now we're gonna start this process in which we are rethinking this conference. We have 2 to go. We have the Czech Republic that we will announce in a little bit, and we have Boston coming up in 2026. But it's a matter of now we are rethinking what this conference means. And we will like your support. We want to hear your ideas of what this conference is, because we are still figuring out how to be more inclusive, how to be more diverse, how to give opportunities to those who cannot come or travel and do all this amazing job. I know Kate came yesterday from around the world trying to get here, so it is hard. So how can we leverage what you want into this conference? So this is an invitation for the Fab community to help us reimagine what the FabX future looks like. And with that, I'm gonna announce the FAB27 site, which is Oulu.
Oulu is Finland's center of technology and innovation, home to half of the whole country's Fab Labs. It's easy to travel here, just a 50-minute flight from Helsinki. In July, Oulu is at its best. Summer is in full bloom and the midnight sun lights up the nights. Securing the FAB27 conference in Oulu is a significant local event. The event is supported by 5 Fab Labs, the University of Oulu, the City of Oulu, Business Oulu, and regional companies. 3 of the Fab Labs are located in primary schools, all of which implements STEAM pedagogy, highlighting the importance of education and technology, as well as excellent collaboration for benefit of the region. The event will be held at the conference center right in the heart of Oulu, with hotels nearby making accommodation convenient. Join us for an inspiring event that brings together innovators, creates new opportunities for collaboration, networking, and learning from each other. See you in Oulu in 2027.
We want to invite Ulu to the stage. Where's Ulu? Where is he? Over here? Oh, come. Woo!
In front of that. Ok. Buenos días. ¿Todo bien? Yo también. Mi nombre es Jukka Miettunen. My name is Jukka Miettunen. I'm a project manager from the city of Oulu. And I'm very happy to be here to present a very potential candidate for FAB27 from Finland, from northern Finland, just in the backyard of Santa Claus's office. City of Oulu. And Oulu has a long history of technology and innovation, over 30 years. Everybody remember Nokia. Nokia Tune and Nokia phones. We don't have those phones anymore, but Nokia is still alive. So the radio operations of the Nokia are still in Oulu and employing 5,000 people at the moment. So still going strong. And we have other startups there, a lot of health technology. We have a wonderful STEAM university. We have University of Applied Sciences. And we also have world-class basic education schools in the city. And half of the Finnish Fab Labs are located in Oulu. One super Fab Lab in the university led by Jani. Everybody knows Jani. And one in the city center led by the city of Oulu. And 3 Fab Labs in a basic education school. That's something high. And one of those schools was my previous school, and it was the first official Fab Lab status basic education school in Finland. And if there's any others around the world, please contact me and let's network together. So it's easy to come to Oulu. There are good flights, as you saw from the video. And if you like to do something else, so the Estonia, Sweden, Norway, Finnish Lapland are quite close. There's so much to see. And it doesn't get dark at all. So you don't sleep in the summertime at all. Okay, Oulu joined the International Fab City network in 23. And as I told you, the Fab Lab activities are run by this. And every school in Oulu, all the 49 schools, they have makerspaces, and they follow STEAM curriculum in every school. And most of the kindergartens are also doing STEAM. So the city will be a reliable organization together with the university. And the location you already know. And the time is first week in August 27. And the city is ready to pay all the costs in the city board decision this year. So Jani sends you a hello, and I just got the message from my earbud from Jani, and it says that we are forming a community to reform the conference, as well as its application and selection process. The community is investigating the possibility of decentralized hybrid models, for example. And Oulu is Fab City. Oulu is Steam City, and Oulu is also home of air guitar world championships every year. So, their philosophy is, if everybody plays air guitar, there won't be any wars. So peace. And some of you wonder what I brought with me to the stage. It's the first ever 3D printed air guitar. Fender Stratocaster Sunburst. And if you come to Oulu, I promise to play solo in the opening ceremony with that. And please keep making those air guitars more in your Fab Labs. And welcome to Oulu. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We are looking forward. What you forgot? Okay. So just a quick note about Oulu. I mean, I think you probably noticed we didn't vote, right, this time. We had three wonderful sites step up to the plate. Oulu was one, and Oulu has tried before, and so this was their like second or third time coming to us, offering to host the conference. But the other two, one was in Tampa, Florida, and because we're going to be in Boston in 26, it just didn't feel right that we would be in Boston and Tampa, right, within 2 years of each other. And the other site was in Brazil. I believe it was Sao Paulo. And similarly, you know, we've been in this part of the world already, so we figured, let's do Oulu and then let's reset. And so this is why we want your help figuring out what does this look like in the future. Yes, it might be decentralized. It might not be. I don't know. We want to hear from you what you think would be the most impactful. I think if you heard Peter Vanderheiden and Ted Hung the other day, they said we haven't been to Africa or Asia in I don't know how long, right? And so, you know, in order to make this more equitable and more inclusive, we need your help. And so at any rate, that's how we decided on Oulu, and in the future, we're resetting for the next year or two, and the next version will be, and Oulu is going to help us tremendously in rethinking how we do this, so we're very excited about that, so just so you know, okay. And so now Fab26, Fab26, we're coming back to Boston. Super excited about that. It's a chance to be with MIT again, to see the Center for Bits and Atoms, and to see Boston, and the Fab Foundation as well, because this is where we live, and this is from where we operate. Do you want to, go to the next slide? And one of the things that we're very excited about is Fab Hub. We have been the Fab Foundation has been donated 11,000 square feet to establish, in essence, a hub in Kendall Square, which we're like, woo! It's a beautiful partnership with BXP, or what used to be known as Boston Properties, a very large developer. We will be in the building, the same building with Google in Kendall Square on the second floor. And right in Kendall Square, when you come up from the subway, we're the first thing you'll see. And so we are super excited to now actually have a place where we can do the work that all of you do, but do it in our own community, and also all the other work that we try to do to support you and the network, and helping all of us reach the potential that we want to realize. So it's as this beautiful little video that Luciano produced. It's a cafe. It's a store. It's a training center, it's a living laboratory, it's a hub. And basically we've made a commitment to the community of Cambridge, and we're making a commitment to you as well, to really push this work forward and to make impact not only in our own community but across the world, and to support you. It's really about supporting this network and realizing its potential. And so we're very, very excited about this. We believe we'll be open by next summer, so that by the time all of you arrive for FAB26, we'll be full operation, in full operation. So this is what it looks like. Right now, you can see on the picture, it's just a big empty space. And so Boston Properties will be, BXP, sorry, will be constructing. But basically, we're going to have the green spot on the left here is a headquarters. That's sort of where our little office cubbies will be. The big blue part is where the Fab Lab will be. The red part, which is where you come into the space, that will be a cafe and a store, a Fab store, where we can promote and sell products made by all of you, and as well as locally. And then there'll be a flexible event space that will also be workshop space. So it's got space for about 100 local people to be able to come in and do talks and workshops, et cetera, for the community. So that's kind of what the setup is. And next slide, please. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. Well, so now, actually, I'd like to invite you, Neil, onto the stage. You've got 1 minute. No, I'm teasing.
I'll give myself 2 minutes. If you watch the Olympics, there's the surfing in Tahiti with these incredible waves, and there's sort of a swell, and you're on the surfboard, and then this amazing wave curls over you, and you surf in it. And then there's this key moment where you sort of pivot out of the wave and come out, and if you don't do that, it crashes on you, and you go into the reef. And that's where I am right now. I've been surfing this wave for 20 plus years, and I'm not retiring. I'm going to still paddle on my surfboard. But I'm not going to be in the middle of the, what do you call it, the middle of the wave. So come 26, it's an important transition year for both Sherry and me. I'll step down from chairing the Fab Foundation. I'm not going to abandon the Fab Academy, but in the bio class, George Church coordinates it, but there's a whole team of faculty. In the Fab Academy, I'm sort of a one-man band doing everything. So I'll continue to coordinate, but I won't teach every subject and do every prep and do every review. And what I want to focus on are impact, are the projects that we went from 1 to 1,000 labs, and we really followed that roadmap. The roadmap is now going from 1,000 to 1 million. When the scale is 1 million, we all don't fit in one room. And we don't count labs, we count impact. And so the initiatives you've been hearing of the 1, 2, 3, 4 roadmap, the incubator, the vocational, the jobs, all of those are now scaling not labs, but the impact of the labs and the programs. And I'm not retiring, but that's what I want to focus in on, is really counting the impact. And so this isn't a step function, but in the Fab Academy, we're running through a 2-year transition into that. And organizationally, we're running into this 2-year transition for sort of Sherry and I to get out of the wave and to let the next generation surf. So I'm still here, it's all going to continue, but that's what we're working up to in 2026, and that countdown really starts now. So thank you.
And as for myself, as you can see this old, you may recognize this old picture. I'm a little bit tired of being a firefighter. No, I'm teasing. I will retire from MIT. I don't know if you're all familiar with the fact that I have 2 roles. So I work with MIT, with Neil and with the team at CBA, but I also run the foundation outside of MIT. And so I'm going to step back. I'm going to retire from MIT next March, at the end of next March, and I will continue with the Fab Foundation, but I'll only be part-time. What I want to do is raise money for all of you, for all these amazing projects and programs that I feel like are starting to reach their potential or really need to reach their potential. And also, of course, for the Fab Foundation so that we can continue to serve, right? And then, of course, I might dabble a little in a couple of projects that I've been wanting to for a long time. As you know, education is my passion, so I will continue to probably, play around the edges there, as well as with sustainable and regenerative living. It's a very strong interest I have, and I want to help build a regenerative and sustainable world. And so I'll continue to play, and I'll continue to be a part of you. You are my family, and I'm not leaving. You're not getting rid of me, but I'm not going to be in the middle of everything. And if you could go to the next slide, we do have, these people are already leading. We have an incredible team through the Distributed Fab Foundation. Just if you wouldn't mind standing up. Luciano Bertoldi, who's the vice president. Chelsea Lynn, who's our general manager. Norella, who is our communications director. Sam, where's Rodney? Rodney's here too, right? Rodney? Well, Rodney is our program manager for educational outreach. Sam, please, I'm sorry, stand up. He's our editorial director. We have Cebu. I don't know if Cebu's here or Abu, but they're part of our distributed training and network team. They are so strong, and they are so good and creative, and they are already leading, and they will continue to take the baton as we move forward. And so we're not going anywhere, and you have an amazing team that will be leading and is leading, and I just want to reassure you in that way. So next, if I could, Fab City. Everybody's going through transition here. Tomas, you want to come up?
Okay, Las. Yeah. Thank you for giving the opportunity to announce some transitions as well that are happening in Fab City. I'm not leaving either, but we are changing our leadership model, and I'm very happy to announce that I'm not gonna be the executive director of Fab City. Actually, officially, I am not. And our executive director, if you are in the room, is now Kate Armstrong, who you probably know. Hello, Kate. This is part of a much needed, I think, new air of ideas and energy and the whole Fab City Global Initiative that Kate, together with an amazing team distributed around the world, are going to bring. I'm going to be in Bali surfing and continue engaging at many levels with all what's happening in the Fab world, not only Fab City, but also understanding the importance of growing together with the Fab Lab network as well. Thank you, Las. Thank you, Neil.
And so I'm going to turn it back over to the boss, Norella.
Hi, everyone. And I think this is the time we have all been waiting for. We want to invite the Czech team to this side and the Mexican team to this side. So please come forward. The mix. Rápido, 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 rápido. Too many people there. Come, come, come. And we are going to slowly pass all that knowledge, all that hard work that has been accumulating for the last year so that you guys are prepared to host us next year in Fab 25. So, do you want to do a little dance and get it there? Like, boom, hagan bulla, hagan bulla. Make some sound. Woo! Woo!
lot of work, a lot of things to do. You're going to be, in 1 year, you're going to be like us, but you're going to lose some weight. I do assure you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Woo! And with that, we're going to go to a video from the Czech team.
Hello, Fab people all over the world. I'm Kyle. And maybe you remember me from our previous Hollow invitation to the Czech Republic for Fab25. And now, the wait is over, and the big event is approaching fast. Haven't heard of the Czech Republic before? Don't worry.
Yeah, we just got a certificate from the Mexican team.
It's a certificate of authenticity. This is Talavera Uriarte. It's the oldest factory in Puebla, over 200 year old. And this certifies the piece that we just gave you.
Wow, thank you very much. And again, thanks a lot to the Mexican team. You did a great job, and you made this event a big success. So we hope to follow your path. Okay? So we will utilize the 6 minutes now that we have. First of all, let's do a little exercise. One word in Czech. So I say how we say hello in the Czech Republic, and you repeat, okay? So it's ahoy! Okay, very well. That's amazing. Now, before, one picture says more than 1,000 words, let's play the video.
Hello, Fab people all over the world. I'm Kyle. And maybe you remember me from our previous Hollow invitation to the Czech Republic for Fab25. And now, the wait is over, and the big event is approaching fast. Haven't heard of the Czech Republic before? Don't worry. I've got you covered. Located in the heart of Europe, the Czech Republic is renowned for its scenic landscapes and rich cultural heritage. The conference takes place in 2 cities. Brno, a vibrant student city known for its welcoming atmosphere and endless leisure activities, and Prague, one of the most beautiful capitals in Europe with stunning architecture, a deep history, and a bustling cultural scene. The Czechs are a nation of makers with a long tradition of craftsmanship and unparalleled hospitality. That's right, so check your calendars for July 4th to 11th, 2025. Actually, this immense building behind me is the Janáček Theater, where all the festivities will begin. Oh, I see some of the organizational team is waiting. Stress levels look low for now, at least. So let's see what they have to say.
We are so excited to host Fab25 and make a long-lasting mark in the Fab world. We are already putting together a jam-packed program with lots of opportunities to learn something new, collaborate on exciting projects, network, and
enjoy delicious Czech cuisine, and of course, the best beer in the world.
Thanks.
But who's coming? Oh, wow, look, it's Jason.
Hello guys, in Czech Republic.
Hi Jason.
I already got my badge, ready to come join you next year. So much looking forward to see everyone back in Europe. See you soon. Cheers.
Wir sind dabei bei der FAB25 in Tschechien.
Budu tam.
Ci sono di sicuro al FAB25 in Repubblica Ceca.
Budu tam, tak ciao.
Liczу tamo. Awesome. So it looks like tons of people already have plans for next summer, a trip to the Czech Republic. And don't miss out, from now until this date, you have a chance to win a free all-access ticket to Fab25, a brand new Prusa 3D printer, and tons of other great prizes. Just visit fab2025.cz, leave us your contact information, and tell us what you're looking forward to most in the Czech Republic. Good luck.
Yeah, guys, so that's it. So who's excited for the Czech Republic? I didn't hear anything. Who is excited for the Czech Republic? Thank you very much, guys. We will be super happy to welcome you. So this is the website. If you scroll down a bit, you will see the questionnaire. To win the free ticket, Prusa printer or some discount code. And also, if you see the wall of supporters, you can already see, what are people looking forward to most in the Czech Republic. Yeah, so that's it. That's it from us. Fill in the questionnaire. But there's one more thing. there's one person in the Czech Republic who is also looking forward to meet you. So let's see a short surprise video from him as well.
Of Prusa Research, the future general partner. Hello, I'm Joseph Prusa, CEO of Prusa Research, the future general partner for FAB24. I'm looking forward to see you in Prague in person, where I will give you a tour of our factory and share some unique insights into 3D printing. See you in July.
Yeah. So make a big applause. Josef is watching live, so you know that you are coming. So thank you very much. See you in 2025.
Thank you. And I think we would like to thank the amazing team that has also been behind screens, and that is Christian and Adrian. Thank you so much for all your hard work. Without you, this wouldn't be live. To all these amazing volunteers that you see on stage, to Mexico hosting us, and to the Czechs hosting us next year. So now we want to do a group photo, so anyone that is on the seats can come here and get a group photo out of today. So come and join us. Woo, woo. Fast, fast, fast. No, don't go, don't go. Yeah. Who can take, look, they're all coming here. Look, Grace is already up. This is the only time that I got a photo of everyone that came to the conference. And another one. Grace is going to be our photographer. Come closer, come closer. There you are. Okay, so start getting ready because we're going to do a group photo and we need you smiling. So, are you ready? Almost. Almost? Almost. We're almost there. Run, run, run. One. Grace? I lost Grace. Grace.
She's going higher. 1,
2, 3. Fab25! Woo! Fab24! Woo! Fab26! Woo! Fab27! Woo! Good! Thank you all for coming. Woo! Okay, good. Done.
Phew.
What time is it? Almost on time. 7 minutes away. So everyone, you're invited for lunch. Activities are happening in the afternoon. And remember, we have a great Fiesta Mexicana at San Roque starting at 7 p.m. So come and join us.
All that she wants is another baby. She's gone tomorrow, boy. All that she wants is another baby. Yeah.